Oh my goodness, yes, 8 times reading classes. Now they're in there somewhere. They are. They'll come about when we get home. Probably. Both of them should be in there. Joe, how's everything going? You at work?
Pretty good. No complaints. Not catching too much flack from Main Street. Ain't catching too much flack from me.
Some things just don't change.
Thank you.
Don't change.
That's all right. I'll.
Yes. It's not like here. No. So.
4 minutes.
Yes.
Oh, no, I don't see that.
Oh, my son.
Well, speaking of that, there he is, right there.
I don't know if either one of the kids are here or not. And one of them's at a track meet. Want to sign in? Right here.
Oh. No, okay.
I know, I got Shannon reading the answer. But I don't see anybody else. I think everybody's ready.
Oh, other than him, gotcha.
I think.
You will not.
We having fun yet? Hi, Matt. You got a haircut.
I did.
There you go. Yeah.
Man,
We're glad you're here.
FTA guy's gonna be a road we tomorrow.
Okay. Thank you, Olivia.
1 minute.
You're counting down.
Okay, I'm watching it. I'm watching it.
A drink and a pizza. I don't think there's any other option.
I got 5:30.
got
I have
5:30.
five.
I got 5:30.
Okay, if everyone will please stand, our pledge of allegiance is leading will be led by Commissioner Joe Chenault. Joe.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing, and Police Chief Travis Thompson will lead us in our invocation. Chief.
Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight thankful for the opportunity to assemble here and conduct the business of the city. We pray that you watch over each and every one of us as we go through this meeting. Lead, guide, and direct us to make good decisions. Please be with our city employees and our community. You know the needs that all of us have, whether we know them or not. And we know if we bring them to you, you'll take care of them. It's in your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
And please be seated. Meeting is officially called to order. And the first thing on the agenda this evening is a proclamation. Before I come down and present the proclamation, I would like to ask Police Chief Travis Thompson to come forward and say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to celebrate something special this afternoon, and thank you for participating in that. This is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week, where we get to recognize our dispatchers and our communication officers at the police department. I doubt you get many of my officers to say this, but there's really not much that we do at the police department that they don't help us with. Whether they be sending us somewhere, or whether they be looking something up for us or helping us investigate something. A lot of times it starts in dispatch, and we need to remember that this week. So with that being said, I'd like to bring them up. You want to bring them up here?
Bring them up.
You guys come up.
I'm
stand
gonna
in front
ask
of
the
mayor and
commission
commission.
just to stand where we are. We have several telecommunicators with us, and we don't want to.
Chief,
Yes, ma'am.
there's a couple of people standing out in the.
The lobby, yeah.
You know, Dan?
Ms. Jones.
Yeah.
You're good. If you could, everybody will have you one. Okay, I will read the proclamation, and it's titled National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, April 14 through 2025. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services. And whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Winchester Clark County Emergency Communication Center. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Winchester Clark County Emergency Communications Center have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each dispatcher has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job. Now therefore, I, Joellen Reed, Mayor of Winchester, Kentucky, hereby declare the week of April 14 through 2025 as National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week in Winchester, Kentucky, in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our city and citizens safe. So let's give them a hand. These guys and gals, they are vital to what goes on in this community. As you heard me read a minute ago, they're the first ones to get your call. When you have a fire, when you have an accident, when we need the police to be somewhere, these are your first people right here. It's not the others, it's these folks standing right here. And instead of calling telecommunicators, I like to call them communicators. Because that's what they are. They are communicators. They enrich our community, and if they get their information wrong, guess what? Things happen that go awry and are not good. They have to be sure they get the detailed information down to send the police, the fire, the EMS to where it needs to go, and they have to deal with deaths and highway accidents and things that I would not want to have to do in my daily life. So these are very special people. Thank them, honor them. If you're ever baking a pie or cookies and you have extra, take them by and drop them off at the police station because they sure do deserve it. So thank you all for what you do and continue the good work and keep this community safe. Thank you. Okay, I'd now like to ask, how about Jones Howard coming down? And Fisher's coming down, please.
I don't know about that.
Jan, that baby is that attractive.
She is at Bryan Station High School trying to clear 13 feet football.
Well, I heard that she did one of these things in public with her dad.
It is quick with that.
Look at this, and yeah, I'll tell you, I'm gonna roast. The funny thing was today, when I was sitting in my desk in there making some notes about tonight, I grabbed just a Post-it note out of the drawer and started writing, and I looked down, and believe it or not, the Post-it note was Clark County Schools for all in greatness. And I thought, how appropriate, because folks like Jones and his sister, we'll talk about it in a moment, they are growing greatness. And they're growing it for you, and they're growing it for me, they're growing it for all of us, and growing it for this community. When we have kids like this, we are so blessed, and we should be so thankful because we are growing greatness within this community. So, Jones, I want to say first that you were chosen as a national merit finalist, right? And if I read correctly, that you want less than 1% of the population of the United States to get that honor. Is that correct?
Yes,
Right. And I think you had to do a lot of essay writing.
yes.
You had to pass the PSAT. And then I heard you were a linebacker for GRC, right? Wow. Football, right? Not basketball. I don't have linebacker. And if I read also correctly, you plan at this point in studying mechanical engineering, right? So we want to give you this certificate of commendation to Jones Howard in recognition and appreciation for your outstanding ability and potential for academic success in college and your really distinguished performance, thereby earning the distinction of National Merit Scholar Finalist. You're better than 99%. Thank you, ma'am. Stay up here because his sister was going to be here tonight, but she is participating in a track and field meet at, what did you say, Justin, Bryan Station?
Yes, ma'am.
And if I read this correctly, a few weeks ago, there was an indoor track and field competition, and your lovely daughter has gone into pole vaulting, and has been doing that since she was 8 years old. So I brought Bruce in here in the city commission today and to measure something for me. And Bruce said, okay, we only do. I said, I want you to tell me how far it is from the floor to the top of this ceiling. When he measured that, it was 11 feet, 1 inch, I think.
11'7"
7
inches.
inches. So you go back and you look and see what his sister has accomplished at the state meet. She was the national champion, and you be a national champion at state meet.
She was a state champion.
State champion. And I thought, well, I didn't try all right. And so we measured this today, and when she competed a few weeks ago, she was 1 foot higher than the ceiling in this room right now. And so it's Dustin, her daddy's saying tonight, she's over there trying to make 13. So that is just great. So she walked away as the state champion for 2025. The previous record was 11 feet 6 inches, and Bailey did 12 feet 6 inches. I probably couldn't do 1 foot, but it's awesome that happened, and that we have 2 of the Howard kids here, one of them here with us right now, And don't forget that these are our kids and they are going greatness and be sure to compliment them and thank them for what they do and thank who you are for others in this community. So Bailey Howard, in acknowledgement of her competitive excellence, diligence in training, and overall drive in obtaining the USA Track and Field Youth Female Field Event Athlete of the Year Award. So Dustin, if you come and accept this on behalf of your daughter.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not gonna jump that high.
That's
Like that should be right now.
So let's give the Howard Bailey
They have all, have all he getting because of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good work.
Can't go, coach. That coach tried to coach you the basketball. He tried.
Remember a kid, you probably don't remember.
Let's keep sighing. I know, keep sighing. It's not that so. Exasperated.
Now you have to talk about
Okay, boys, break it up.
Enough sports talk, y'all.
Okay.
We're confident, Mayor. We gotta get on.
Cousins with everybody. That's actually a Fox book.
Okay, we're on item 4, presentation.
Yeah.
And with us this evening, we have Jeff Truitt from BIM, talking about the city insurance. And I was with Jeff about 2 weeks ago. I'm on the executive committee of Bluegrass Ad, and they just awarded the BIM company their insurance. So that's great, and we know we're in good hands.
Thank you very much.
Jeff, it's all yours.
Very kind. So it is that time of year to talk about the employee benefit package, primarily the health insurance that the city provides the employees. It is a very important piece of the total compensation package to the city to allow them to try and recruit and retain quality employees. So we started several months ago in looking over the data, looking at different options on the reinsurance. Last month, we met with the insurance committee to kind of go over the data and what the recommendations would be for a potential increase for this year. So it's a little bit of good news, bad news. Go down one page. So if we focus on the bottom part of this, in order to determine where we want to try and set the projection of the increase, we look historically to what's happened over the past. So this goes back over the 4 previous plan years, and then also through a portion of this particular plan year. So between the 2020 and the 2021-22 plan year, we saw a nice decrease. That's when we transitioned to a new third-party administrator that had the Anthem network. So those Anthem discounts kicked in pretty well for us there. If you look at the bottom, the red numbers represent reimbursement amounts that were claims over the stop loss. So those were reimbursed numbers back to the city for that protection. And then also as a partially self-funded employer, there are pharmacy rebates that flow back to the employer to help offset claims cost. So our partner in the third-party administrator does an RFP on the pharmacy portion. And over the years, they have been able to increase the rebates there, which lower the cost. So year over year, we've been trying to keep this thing as flat as possible. We've been having a little bit of a claim spike this year. Let's go to the next page. Which is reflected here in our graph. So again, it's the same plan years. The red line is the fixed cost. And when we think of fixed cost, we think of renting the network, third-party administrator fees, and stop-loss reinsurance premiums. So the goal is to keep the fixed cost as low as possible so that there are more dollars left over to pay claims. So we have been successful in keeping the fixed cost relatively pretty flat. We've also been successful in keeping the pharmacy claims in the lighter blue color there relatively flat. What we've been running into is just really it's medical claims. So things are going to happen. That is why we purchased insurance, but we've had a few unusual circumstances on some higher claims over the past couple of years. So with that darker blue line going up, when we had the pharmacy cost, the fixed cost, and the blue line, the total cost is the gray line at the top. So that's kind of where we are right now. Next slide, please. So this goes over almost 10 years of what has actually happened. And if you, across the top, you can see how the number of employees have fluctuated year over year, and also the total number of covered lives. So that's all of the kids and the spouses that are also covered under the plan. If you look at the bottom, the gray line tracks claims cost and fixed cost on a per employee per month. So we want to see, as the enrollment fluctuates over the years, what has the average been per employee per month. So you can see the past few years, we've been able to keep this pretty flat, even a little bit of a decrease. This current claims year is a little bit higher. Again, I don't think we have a utilization issue. I think we've had just some people who have had some unfortunate things happen to them. So that's kind of where we are right now. The dark blue line is the gross number. What's actually happened at a gross level year over year. Now that negative 17% is based on the fact that it's only data through February. So we still have a few more months to go, and that gross number will hopefully stay flat, but that's why it's a little bit lower. All right, last page. So when we think about our projection of where we think the city should set their budget, here are the different components of cost. The light blue at the top is the stop loss premium. That is where the city is going to pay for the claims up to a certain point. After that point, the reinsurance comes in to protect the city on any single claim or an aggregate so that we know our worst case scenario. So we had a 1%. If we think about the increase, the stop loss currently represents about 17.6% of the total cost of the plan. It went up about $26,000. So that increase, because of the claims are increasing, actually decreased. The stop loss premium is actually a smaller portion of the total cost. The dark blue in there, the 8.2%, that is what we are projecting that the claims will increase. The bottom red with the pharmacy rebates is a negative number. So if you look at the bottom boxes, the recommendation is to increase the city's budget by 9.2%. Of that 9.2%, 8.2% of that is what we believe claims will increase. Now, because you're partially self-funded, we are not sending this money off to an insurance company never to be seen again. The city is retaining that money, and they are holding that money and only paying claims as they occur. So if this number is a little high, the money stays with the city and can therefore be used to help offset future years. So this is purely what we think is going to happen based on prior year results, based on our actuarial data and where we see things. This is a little bit on the lower end of what we see from a lot of our employers. It is also a situation for the years prior to us and the past years that I just went over, that we have not changed the plan design. So we are not increasing deductibles, not increasing max out of pockets or copays to try and achieve a lower risk to the city. So we're not making any changes there. We're just purely looking at what claims had occurred. We're keeping our fixed costs low. We're keeping a lid on the reinsurance. So this is just our projection on what claims we think we'll do.
I would like to point out that Commissioner Toole and Commissioner Fox serve on the insurance committee, and they attend these meetings and hear before we hear exactly what's going on. And you all have any input on anything you'd like to say?
Well, I mean, first of all, I'd like to say we've got a sweet health insurance plan for what the employee pays, for what the benefit is. It is better than I've got. Okay. And I'm very happy for that. I'm very happy for each of you that we can do this, but costs are going up. Now, when we say we're going to increase it 9.2%, that is the city's contribution will be 9.2% higher. Not for you guys.
That's correct.
You'll still pay the same. But we're gonna
Relatively speaking to what,
ish, yes.
Yes. So our role is really looking at it as a gross number. It is the employer or the city's determination on how much they want to contribute towards the plan. And I know it's been very rich, and I know there's a formula that's used, and my assumption is that same formula where the lion's share is picked up by the city and a little bit is passed on to the employees would continue.
no, my first year sitting on the insurance committee, and there's a lot to learn, and I'll reflect what Shannon just said, Commissioner Cox, that we do have a great policy. And this is not putting 9.2% increase to our employees. If I understand correctly, it's split 95-5. The city will take on 95% of that 9.2%. It's with some of the examples that I've seen, I mean, it's $3, $2 difference per employee, based on which policy you have.
It's a very rich plan from a plan design standpoint, and it is a very rich plan based on how much the city is picking up towards the cost. It is very beneficial, and with inflation, for each year that plan doesn't change, it becomes a richer plan.
Right. And if we don't spend it all, we can keep it in that account for next year.
That's right.
And keep investing in our employees.
You bring up a very good point, because if we had a lot of reserves, we would have maybe kind of deployed that into offsetting some of this. The challenging thing is we don't have a lot of reserves, and sometimes it kind of gets really tight. And what we don't want to do is set ourselves up for failure to where we have to go or the city has to go into the general fund and start borrowing against that, which is not what we want to do. So that's our recommendation, is to set it at that level. And then obviously, like most self-funded employers, the goal is to try and build a little bit of reserve to kind of smooth things out. No increase is a good increase, but that's where we are for this year.
Right.
And 4 or 5 years ago, we had a massive reserve, and we didn't. It can all go out in 2 or 3 months.
And unfortunately, can.
And I mean, it's amazing what medical costs are now.
Mm-hmm.
And even using this rich Anthem network and everything, still, if you drive by the hospital, I think they start the bill. You drive into the parking lot. This is probably a HIPAA violation, but when my sister was in the hospital, they literally charged her $11 for a box of Kleenexes.
Well, kind of to reflect, if I think this is something I can share with the Walgreens, the $5 Walgreens. Alicia and I were big on this. I mean, it's amazing what hidden costs you don't see coming in front of you and that your city has to incur. What I'm joking about is my insurance is through a private nationwide employer, clearly not through the city. And so they kind of forced me to go to CVS, and I was annoyed with it and I didn't want to do it. And so I was like, I'm just going to keep going to Walgreens. Lo and behold, Walgreens is turning around and billing my employer $5 for every single prescription just filled. Outside of cost, outside of
$14.
whatever it is, it's too many
Yes.
dollars.
Yes.
But it just, there's so much I've learned in the last few years. It's in the back end that we don't really see.
Yeah.
That's really contributing to trying to help the betterment of the employees. So
The reason Myers can give you that blood pressure medication for 99 cents is they are billing your insurance company $11 for $1 worth of medication on a dispensing fee. A dispensing fee on every prescription.
So
it's
that
interesting.
goes into premiums, that goes into projecting costs, all of that. Medical inflationary rates are double or triple what the normal
Right.
inflation rate is. So we're trying to get that. It's a national problem. It's not a Clark County problem. It's not a Kentucky problem. It's a national problem. That we need more transparency really in everything that we do. And I think by being a partially self-funded plan, we're able to see where some of those hidden costs are and try to keep reducing those fees. But you bring up some very good points. We have got a few other things on the table that we're going to keep meeting as the insurance committee. That we might be back here in a few months to kind of talk about some different initiatives that we think can kind of help employees understand the plan, but then also stay healthy. Obviously, preventative medicine is the best medicine and it's the least expensive. So there's a couple of things I can play with.
And I don't mean to beat this point anymore, but we're lucky around here that we have 3 major hospital chains right here, and then the minor ones here. But UK Baptist Health and CHA keep the cost down for everybody because they are competing against each other for patients and everything, and they keep the cost down because it's yes. If you go to Knoxville and everybody around that owned by the same company for 100 miles, they'll charge you whatever they want to, and there's nothing you can do about it except die. You know.
Well, that's depressing.
No, I mean, all of the East Tennessee is under the same umbrella group, and they don't deal with Anthem and stuff. They say we're going to charge this.
Right, monopolies in healthcare.
Monopolies in healthcare are literally kill people.
So is this a motion?
So what we're looking for is a recommendation to proceed with this, to build this into the budget.
Okay.
Commission.
I will make the recommendation that we go with the 9.2% increase in the premiums, and we stay at the same 95.5 rate for our employees.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Toole. Any discussion? One of you like to comment, or you feel like we're in good hands with you?
Yeah.
It's gonna work.
Pretty good name for me.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign, motion carries. Thank you very.
Thank you, Mr. Truitt.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jeff.
Jeff.
Okay, next is 4B, update of the Winchester Police Department. As you know, our commission, we've had, Chief Whiteley in to update us on the fire department. We've had Brian, Sewell in to update us on public works, and looks like it's your turn, Chief.
My turn to barrel.
Yes, sir.
I'll never turn down the opportunity to talk about the great work that our staff does in the police department. Little housekeeping, I failed to mention earlier, when we were talking about telecommunications week, but we need to include Jeannie Gwen and Rhonda Rogers, because they're manning dispatch right now so that these guys can be here. So we're appreciative of them taking on that responsibility for us tonight. Things are going well at the police department, in my opinion. I hope everybody shares that opinion. It's been a busy 3 months. I want to thank Captain Charles and a couple of his dispatchers, Kayla Lane and Ashley Reed, helped him put this PowerPoint together for me. I told him the highlights that I wanted in it, and they kind of took it and ran with it. So now I get to talk about it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Eric. I based this on the first quarter of 2025 as January, February, and March. It's basically when I got involved in administration, after you all named me as the next police chief, effective February 1st. You can see from the graph that we have, all of the agencies that we dispatch for on there: the Winchester Fire Department, Clark County Sheriff's Office, Clark County Fire Department, and the Police Department. There was a total of 13,147 calls. The bulk of it is the police department. And then you see the numbers there for the other departments. Dispatch stays busy. That's 16 full-time dispatchers handling those 13,147 calls. So I didn't do the math for you, but you
How
can
many
do
a day?
it. You can do it. That's just shy of 1,000 calls per dispatcher if you break it down. Now, some of them are getting more than others because of their schedules and the times that they work. Go ahead, Eric.
And that was just for January, February, and March?
That's just the first quarter of 2025, January, February, and March. This breaks it down for you. Some of our high volume calls over on the right. You'll see that we've had 58 assault calls, 197 non-injury collisions, 70 mental health transports in the first 3 months. We'll dig into that here in a few slides. 263 domestic disturbances and 76 public intoxication calls. On the left, it kind of breaks it down by day for you. It's a little skewed because on Wednesday, it shows it being our busiest day, but take into granted for that's our double shift day. So all of our officers work that day. So they're doing about twice as much work, whether there's the call volume or not. If there's not calls coming in, they're out doing things that are proactive instead of reactive and creating those calls. Go ahead, Eric. Out with the old and in with the new. I know the mayor's a big fan of our new striping package. I think we are down to either 6 or 7 vehicles in our fleet that are left with the old package on them. And so we would probably not this year, but next year we'll probably have all those switched out and be down to have only our new stripe package. Nobody is making a police package on a passenger car anymore. So we're bound to SUVs. You see the top, there's a Durango. That's an older Durango. And the bottom is the Tahoe. The Durango is the most financially responsible police package vehicle on the market. So that's probably what you're going to see a lot of, because you can buy 3 Durangos for what you can buy 2 Tahoes for. Go ahead, Eric. Put a new sign above the awning. It matches the new stripe package. We just did that the day after the chamber breakfast. We're trying to have it up for the chamber breakfast, but the weather didn't let us do that. Got rid of the one that was up there that was a little weathered and outdated. Go ahead, Eric. Overdose reporting. I've had a lot of questions. When I came in as the police chief, I quickly realized that there was a lot of information getting sent to a lot of different places in the community. It was an email chain that was probably 20 people long that was going out from the police department. And every call that we had where somebody chewed on a THC gummy and got a little dizzy and asked for an ambulance was getting reported as an overdose. It's simply not an overdose. So I consulted with the director at the health department, and we talked about the overdose statute. And the Kentucky legislature defines a drug overdose means an acute condition of physical illness, coma, mania, hysteria, seizure, cardiac arrest, cessation of breathing, or death, which reasonably appears to be the result of consumption or use of a controlled substance or another substance with which a controlled substance was combined, and that a layperson would reasonably believe requires medical assistance. These dispatchers get calls all the time and they get told that it's an overdose, and obviously they're going to dispatch that as an overdose, and they're going to send the adequate personnel, city police and city fire, or county if it be in the county. And that's exactly how it should be done. But many times when we get there, we don't find anybody, or sometimes the person is drunk on alcohol and that's it. Or sometimes they're chewing a THC gummy, or the situations are endless. But I have taken on the overdose reporting to the health department myself, and we're kind of digging real deep into that. And I think the next slide, I believe, No, I guess it doesn't. The overdose numbers on that, I've got them for you. For the first quarter. In January, we had 6 that were reported. Only 2 of those were confirmed. February, 4 were reported, only 1 was confirmed. And in March, we had 5 reported with only 1 confirmed. And that's just in the city. That's not in the county. That's just in the city limits. So I think you're going to see our overdose numbers going down, which is absolutely a good thing. But more than anything, I hope for them to be more accurate. Our data that we put in our data that we take out is only as good as the data that we put in. So that's important to me that we're getting adequate numbers out there. I don't want our community to look like it's overwhelmed with overdoses when it in fact is not. Mental health transports. This was a big change that I made. When I started in 2005, a mental health transport was almost unheard of. The only time we did it was when we had a judge's order to transport someone on what's called a 202A or a 72-hour hold. And that means that a judge has signed off and said that someone has to be transported to wherever he says, and they have to be evaluated within 72 hours for mental health concerns because they believe to be a danger to themselves or others. As the years went on, mental health transport picked up. Mental health has become a much bigger issue. And for all the right reasons, previous administrations always honored anybody that called and said, I need a mental health transport, especially the hospital. We sent an officer and an officer took that person just because the hospital said they needed to go. Some of them wanted to go, some of them didn't. It became more and more prevalent that we were taking people on mental health transports to Bourbon Community Hospital, for example, which just happens to be in the same network and owned by LifePoint as Clark Regional. And it just kind of got out of hand that we were just kind of transporting people privately and free of charge. So we averaged in 2024, 26 mental health transports a month. And next slide, you should see, this is the first quarter of this year. We had 37 in January. When I came in February, I didn't change anything at the hospital, but I changed some things everywhere else. We went down to 17. I told the hospital that March the 1st, we weren't going to respond out there for mental health transport unless the physician signed the physician's directive or they got a 72-hour hold from a judge. We were down to 9 in March. I don't think any of those came from the hospital. I met with Chief District Judge Neal. We went over this. The mental health statute in the Kentucky legislature is one of the oldest ones in the book. It's 202A. It is very simple. It is very plain. Anybody in this room can go to the county attorney's office and petition a 72-hour hold on anyone. And if you can sell it, then the judge is going to sign off on it and they'll issue that hold. Any peace officer, any physician, any can do the same thing. They don't have to have a judge. They don't have to have the county attorney. If I believe you to be a danger to yourself or others, I can take you into custody and I can transport you for that mental health transport. The only transports that we're doing now are our officers establish their own probable cause for a mental health transport and they do it themselves, a judge's order, or a physician's directive from the hospital, which is the same thing that we do, but it's the physician saying that they believe that. Now, many of these physicians don't want to put their name on that line. But it's important to the city and it's important to the police department because when we put you in the back of a cruiser inside doors that you can't get out of unless we let you out of it, well, that's the very definition of detaining you, whether you want to go or not. So I think there's some liability concerns when we're moving into jurisdictions that we don't have, the ability to do those kind of things. So I think this is a positive change. If you wanted to sit down and do the math, it takes about an hour and a half to do the average mental health transport. So if you take an average of 26 and we're down to 9, that's 16 that we saved. That's 800 man hours that we saved in a month. That's 800 man hours of a Winchester police officer on the streets here in Winchester, protecting and serving this community instead of being a taxi service to an establishment for mental health transport. That is also 800 miles of gas, 800 miles of brakes, 800 miles of tires, 800 miles on a car. And that's just in a month. So you do that times 12.
Yeah,
It's going to be a big difference. So, and it's better for the officers too. It gets there's not an officer in this department that has a problem with taking someone that needs to go. But there's a lot of officers in this department that get tired of doing it because somebody else said it needs to be done. So that's kind of where we're at and changes that we've made there. Next slide.
Most of those transports to Eastern State or where?
Some were to Eastern State, some were to the Ridge in Lexington, many were to Bourbon Community.
okay.
Obviously, LifePoint wanted to keep it within their network, so they would send many to Bourbon Community. And it comes down to the hospital. Those are all voluntary because an involuntary person can't go to Bourbon Community Hospital. They don't take them. So those are all voluntary, and the hospital is just gonna have to find their own means of doing that. And they're working through that. I gave them a month's notice, told them what was coming. And they've been, well, they've tried to play a game or two here and there to try to get us out there, but it's working. And I think, I met with them and the judge at their request, and they're learning how to do a physician's directive. And that's how it happens in counties around us. It just hadn't happened here yet, so it does now. Time to talk about Jensic. The middle picture, you can thank Mr. John Paul Martin. He had a little fun with Officer Gabbard and his Belgian Malinois. On the left, when Chief Hall left, I took his Tahoe at Officer Gabbard's request, and we got Jensic a new house. The previous vehicle that he was in had a half cage in it, which meant Jensic got half of it and a prisoner could go in the other half of it. Obviously, they were separated. But we doubled Jensic's room here by putting this cage. We just got this back last week, so this is new. We outfitted Chief Hall's Tahoe with a new room for Jensic. He is also trained. If you look on the far side, on the other door, not the one that's open, you'll see a hinge there. Officer Gabbard now has a button on his belt. So if he's out and he's doing something and something happens that he needs or wants Jensic, he can push that button, that door flies open, and Jensic comes to him. He's been working with Jensic on that for the last week, and that's been going well from what I hear. Jensic's been busy. Some of the numbers you're going to see are low, but I'll tell you why. We had new officers that were getting trained on the street. Officer Gabbard was one of our field training officers. So he spent most of the month of February and all of March training these new officers, which kind of took some time away from Jensic. But in the month of April, Officer Gabbard's been busy. On the right, you see a stop that Officer Gabbard made on a vehicle that was coming from Lexington that we had a tip on, and Jensic indicated on the vehicle and got a probable cause search, and you see what came of it there. A little bit of a smorgasbord of things that were coming into our community. Next slide. This just happened last week. I want to share it with you. This is from one of our community cameras at Lexington and the bypass. You're going to see the sheriff's department makes a traffic stop on a vehicle, and I don't know if Officer Gabbard just showed up on his own or if the Deputy Bailey requested his presence, but you're going to see on this traffic stop that Officer Gabbard and Jensic arrive. And you're going to see him run Jensic around the car for what's called a probable cause sniff of the vehicle. You can go ahead and play it. So the red car is the one that stopped. You'll see Officer Gabbard and Jensic come into the screen here in a minute. I apologize for the traffic blocking it a little bit, but you're going to get a good view here as it goes.
County doesn't have a K-9, right?
No, ma'am. So you're going to see him start sniffing this vehicle, and you're going to notice immediately his attention to the hood of this vehicle and the grill of this vehicle. And you're going to see Officer Gabbard is desperately trying to get him to come on and go around the rest of the vehicle. And Jensen's like, no, Dad, we're going up here. And you're going to see he gets really, really interested in the front of this vehicle. And you're going to see indication number one. Gabbard's like, all right, come on, let's go. Nope, come on, right here, Dad. It's here. Come on. Nope. Dad, you're not listening to me. Right here. And you can see he's just drawn to the front of this vehicle. I mean, Gabbard literally can't pull him away from it. And for good measure, he's going to give us one more, and Gabbard's going to cry uncle. So as he takes him out of the picture here, you can go on to the next slide. Under the hood of that car, you see at the very top of that picture with a rubber band or something on the neon, that is a sunglass case. And in that sunglass case is what you see on the right, which is 18.5 grams of methamphetamine that was tucked in the engine compartment of that vehicle. So I show you that to show you what Jensic is capable of when he gets out and he gets to work. And coming into the good weather and good season and getting the training, Officer Gabbard's training of other officers done, I hope to see a lot more of this summer. Hope to see enough of it that maybe next year we can talk about putting a second dog on the street and having one out there all the time. So hope to see a lot more of that. Next slide. There's Jensic's numbers. You see that this was actually a little more than the quarter. This was January 1st till April 9th. Every time that he gets Jensic out, he documents that in a computer system that we have that we pay a subscription for. He documents all of his deployments, what he gets on the deployments, what he does with Jensic, and his training as well is all documented in that system. So you'll see that he had 21 deployments from January 1st to April the 9th. 15 of them were traffic stops. He searched 6 school classrooms at GRC at the school's request. That was where they pulled the students out of the room. They left all their bags and everything in there, and Jensic would go in and do a sniff. And this is a good thing. Jensic didn't indicate on anything. We've had 4 drug sniffs elsewhere and 1 track. Jensic has assisted other agencies. If you see down there on the bottom left, you'll see where he's had 3 other agency requests. That comes for, I know most recently, I think maybe all 3 of those are the local ATF asked us to help with some search warrants they did in Urban, and they requested our assistance. And that's a good thing, because when we go and we do that and they seize money, they give us a little bit of that money for our forfeiture account. So being able to do that with Jensic is a good thing. Just good numbers, and Officer Gabbard is going to have a good year. Next slide. Officer Baker and Officer Toombs graduated from DOCJT from their basic training on February the 6th. They spent the rest of the month of February and all of March with their field training with their training officers, and they were both released around the 1st of April, and they're both holding down shifts on their own now and doing very well. Next slide. We have Officers Frazier, Kendall, and Sizemore are in week 3 at basic training at DOCJT in Richmond this week, and Dispatcher Merle's also in week 3 for the Public Safety Dispatch Academy. The officers will graduate in August. I think it's in early August, and Dispatcher Merle will graduate next Friday, the 25th, from the Public Safety Academy and start filling a spot in dispatch. Next slide. Promotions, you all are well aware of these. We've had a couple of promotions since I took over as the chief. Captain Conley last week ran our first range of 2025, our firearms range. Mount Sterling Police Department was gracious enough to let us use their range outside in Mount Sterling. We didn't have to pay for it, saved us a little bit of money. Weather was good last week. We got to have a good range, and we got to, just have good fellowship. We cooked out for lunch both days, and everybody ran through it. Got 100% attendance, which I don't ever remember happening at a range. Everybody at the department was there and qualified and passed their qualifications. So we had a good week last week, and Captain Conley did a phenomenal job with that. Sergeant Craycraft has taken over his role as a night shift patrol sergeant, along with Jansen Thomas on the other side of that. They're opposite of each other and doing well. And later tonight, you're going to have the opportunity to vote on the assistant chief of police for the first time in a long time here. I think the last time we had one, he was called a colonel. You all know, because I spoke with each of you about it, how important that position was to me. It defines clearly the chain of command. It makes things simple. It makes things easy. And it gets Captain Craycraft out of the way so that Wes can move up the ranks without his dad being his direct supervisor. So we look forward to you all making that vote tonight. Next slide. We've been out in the public a lot, doing a lot of things. This was a part of the spring break food drive. That's Amy from Amy's Asian Kitchen, and Jansen Thomas and Shannon Baker collecting the yogurt that she provided I think she provided it all for the spring break food drive. Amy ended up coming back and bringing some more of something. I think it was macaroni and cheese or something a little later. She was very involved in our spring break food drive, and we're appreciative of that. Next slide. We've been at the Baker Career Day. We've been at Truth and Consequences at GRC. Obviously, the Spring Break Food Drive and the Citizens Police Academy has been ongoing since the first week of March. Sergeant Reed's been handling that. They're over there tonight doing that. You see down there, kind of bottom in the middle, you see that's Officer Sizemore, who's currently in basic training. We tased the new officers the week before they went to the academy and got that out of the way for them and let the Citizens Police Academy participants watch it. Sergeant Reed was at the jail for the jail tour, and they did a little taser on him. I think he was the guinea pig for some things over there. So a lot of things going on, a lot of moving parts. You see Amy up top with her macaroni and cheese. Chief all down at the bottom with cell phone Sally. Next slide. We were at RDC this past weekend for a preventing child abuse event. That's what the big picture is there with the cars. You see the View donated some things for the spring break food drive. We toured the new preschool with the school system, and we're going to be getting our officers in all these schools, but we toured that one right before it opened so the officers would be familiar with it should an incident occur out there. Next slide. Last but certainly not least, this was the big news of the quarter. They left a void in the department. The good news is that I've got Captain Charles researching a grant to look about doing this project again. Mr. Howard, Superintendent Howard, has reached out and shown his interest and is willing to financially support it if we want to do it again. And if we can come up with a grant, then I'm going to come to you guys and we're going to figure out a way to do it. So stand by for that.
Yes, sir.
Any questions?
Anything for Chief? An outstanding report.
All of you got an email that the mayor sent to me last night late about parking on Boone and Lyle. Kitty got me before the meeting. I emailed back and forth with that lady today. She was incredibly friendly and generous. And we had an officer out there today when school let out, and we'll have an officer out there every day until we get these folks trained on where they can and can't park. So you guys can know that that email's being taken care of.
Awesome.
And that's been a problem out there forever.
It pops its head pretty often.
And it's amazing, of course, having spent a lot of years at that school. They bring them in the morning, and they won't let them out anywhere except right at the front door. And they move up 10 feet at a time to let their kid out of the car. But in the afternoon, the bell rings, it's like the school exploded. Kids go out every.
And I think once we educate these parents where they can and can't park, you'll see it kind of stop, and then we'll have to do it again next year when we get a new set of parents that are there picking up their kids. So
I received a response this afternoon from the resident saying how well you worked with her and how pleased they were that somebody's paying attention.
if you see something, say something. If we don't know about it, we can't address it. And I don't have enough people to go around to keep an eye on it. So, but if you let us know what's going on, we're gonna put some attention to it and take care of it. So thank you all for your support and let us know what we can do for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Good job, sir.
Okay, back to the agenda, item 5 minutes. You had those in your packet. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the April 1st, 2025 special 4:30 and regular 5:30 PM minutes? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Cox. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chanel. Any more discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 6, departmental agency reports 6A through D. Is there anything anyone would like to highlight?
I liked that edition of the permit summary. I think that was the first time we received that, right?
Yes, that's
Yeah,
it is.
I liked that.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the departmental agency reports?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 7. You hear me say this every 2 weeks. Informational items are for info only. Is there anything anyone would like to highlight? Okay, item 8, new business. Application for a grant from Smart Growth America to apply for $22,000 for the Kentucky Complete Streets Leadership Academy Award. Is there a motion? Motion by Commissioner Strode. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion?
What exactly is this?
So this is a grant administered by Smart Growth America. It was brought to our attention, and only 3 communities in the state were asked to participate. That was Lexington, Moorhead, and Winchester. And it's really about building relationships to look at how to bring people together to advocate for more biking, running, walking, just our streets are more safe. And this money is going toward a pilot project that we can do on one of our state highways here. And it's a good way to get to know people to actually be eligible for more grants in the future.
Well, what would we do with, on the state road? Would we put in a bike lane or?
We don't know yet. We're still developing what that project might be. It might be a bike lane somewhere, it might be a crosswalk, sidewalk, something like that. But Brian Sewell and Stephen Berry are on this committee, and we're thinking about projects right now.
Okay.
Any more questions? Hey, Jordan, you have a first and a second?
Yes, ma'am.
Any, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, item 9, ordinances. These Guys, are this is the second reading on this, and we will be required to take a voice vote. Madam Clerk?
This is a summary, a joint ordinance of the city of Winchester, Kentucky and the county of Clark, Kentucky, amending Article 6 zoning districts, Article 11 sign regulations, and Article 12 definitions of the Winchester Clark County zoning ordinance, updating language associated with medical cannabis and the use of cultivating, dispensing, processing, and producing within the city and county. A complete copy of the ordinance is available at City Hall. I hereby certify that the foregoing is an accurate summary of the contents of the above entitled ordinance. William A. Dyton, attorney for the city of Winchester.
And will you please do the roll call?
Make a motion.
Can I have a motion first?
Yes. Did you make one?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Cox. Any more discussion? All in favor, Ms. Clerk, it's all yours.
Commissioner Chenault,
I approve.
Commissioner Strode.
Yes.
Mayor Reed.
Yes,
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Tool.
Yes.
motion carries. 9B,
This is a summary and ordinance amending ordinance number 6-2024. An ordinance establishing an abandoned urban property and blighted urban property in the city of Winchester Code of Ordinances classified as a separate class of real property. A complete copy of the ordinance may be reviewed at the office of the city clerk, 32 Wall Street, Winchester, Kentucky. I hereby certify that the foregoing is an accurate summary of the contents of the above entitled ordinance. William A. Dyckman, city attorney.
is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, and then I got a question.
Okay,
Did we do this before, raise the tax on abandoned property before?
I don't know. We didn't raise the tax. We didn't change the amount.
Huh?
Not on this one.
No, this keeps the rate the same.
But I thought we did a thing 3 or 4 years ago about, it's been before you, Joey, do you remember? Where
We did it last year.
last year?
Adopting the blighted urban property and abandoned urban property. But a couple of things needed to be changed.
Okay,
So that's what it's doing. It's
Okay.
amending what we had on the books.
okay.
hey, Jordan, need a voice vote on this one since it's the second reading?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Chenault,
Yes.
Commissioner Strode,
Yes.
Mayor Reed,
Yes,
Commissioner Cox.
Yes.
Commissioner Tool.
Yes.
motion carries. Item 10, ordinance for first reading.
This is an ordinance, it's a summary, an ordinance annexing to the city of Winchester, Kentucky, certain land in Clark County, Kentucky, identified as all that certain tract or parcel of land lying and being in Clark County, Kentucky, being 23.515 acres more or less, situated on the western side of the corporate limits of the city of Winchester, Kentucky. I hereby certify that the foregoing is an accurate summary of the contents of the above entitled ordinance. William A. Dyckman, city attorney.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Cox. Is that gonna be a second, Commissioner?
Second.
Chenault?
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 11, orders A and B.
Sorry, I was asking her something.
An order accepting an agreement with the law firm of Linda K. Ain for legal services as it relates to the renewal of the city of Winchester electric franchise.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tool. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chenault. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 11B.
An order appointing Krista Williams to the Housing Authority of Winchester for a 4-year term.
And let me explain something here. This is an appointment for a resident that lives within the housing authority, one of the projects. It is required by HUD. And for some reason, no one has ever appointed a resident to sit in this position, and we're taking care of that. So that's what this motion is about. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Cox. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 12, personnel orders, and that is A through E. Madam Clerk.
An order adopting the position description for Assistant Code Enforcement Traffic Safety Officer, non-sworn position, classification and pay plan.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Chenault. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 12B, Madam Clerk.
An order employing Alicia Martin to fill the position of grant writer.
And I will make that motion. Is there a second?
I will gladly second.
Second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Any
Aye.
opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 12C.
An order promoting Harvey Craig Crab from Police Captain Patrol Division to Assistant Chief of Police.
I'll be glad to make that motion also. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Strode. Any discussion?
Just like to say I'm very pleased, Chief, that anybody more deserving than Harvey. I've worked with Harvey for 20 years, I guess, on everything in this community. So I'm very, very pleased.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 12D.
An order reclassifying Troy Holland.
That's with the fire department. okay?
Yes.
Is there a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Chanel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. E.
An order granting educational certification incentive salary increases to certain personnel.
Is there a motion?
I'll move.
Motion by Commissioner Cox. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Tool. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign? Motion carries. Item 13. Comments from the general public concerning items not on the agenda. Looks like we've had 2 people to sign up. Please remember you have 4 minutes. Looks like the first one is Kenny Book. Mr. Book.
No, 1 year ago, yesterday, we lost, Marty, and I'd like to take and remember, first, remember him with a moment of silence.
Commissioner Book, I will point out that yesterday I attended a ceremony at the cemetery for Chief Jackson. His family laid a wreath onto the grave, and the police department turned out in full colors to for that memorial remembrance. So thank you very much. And it looks like the other gentleman that signed up is James Bowman. Are you here still? Okay, come on then.
So James Bowman, 2 South Main Street. So I guess I would like to start off with a little bit of a disclaimer. Anything that I do bring up, I'm not trying to antagonize or speak poorly of any of you on the board. I'm simply just curious. So just out of curiosity, do you guys know who I am? Probably not. Okay, that's my point exactly. I'm the owner of High Speed Collectibles, right here on Main Street. And I say that because we're probably, if not the most, biggest business that brings business to downtown Winchester. We definitely bring a lot of foot traffic. And I mean, we bring people from Lexington, Louisville, even as far as Cincinnati. We've had people come down here just to come to our shop. And I'm not bragging, I'm not being boastful. What I am saying though is it's very difficult to watch meetings like this and stuff and see you all advocating for small businesses and wanting the best and the success for downtown Winchester, but you don't even know who I am. And I've been on the first floor for 1.5 years now. So I mean that's plenty of time to at least just stop by for 5 minutes and introduce yourself and ask like, hey, what can we do better? What can we focus on in Winchester to help the economic growth of Winchester? But I haven't had that interaction. And I also spoke with a lot of other business owners on Main Street as well, and they haven't had that interaction as well. And I know, you could also say that it goes both ways. We can come reach out to you in the whole 9 yards, but you're appointed by the people, I'm not. And I have a business to run. So I'm working all hours of the night. It's not like we open 9 to 5, and that's all we work. Like there's been multiple days where I've worked from 7 a.m. to 3 a.m., back to back to back. And that's just the way it is being a business owner. But with this high side project, I think that we kind of got put to the wayside. And the reason why I say that is today specifically, what I found out through multiple business owners across the street from me was that they were communicated with poorly. And I'm not putting this on Whitney Leggett either. She was fantastic. I love the fact that you guys appointed her to actually give us a voice. But we were told that the construction was supposed to happen on the other side of Main Street. And that wouldn't have been that big of a deal because there's not as much foot traffic down there as there is right in front of our shop. With the hall being there, Mercantile and Main, the whole 9 yards. So the fact that a lot of business owners across the street just came in this morning and saw the entire front busted up to where no access was made, that kind of puts a damper on businesses downtown. And I don't think that there's been enough people coming out and voicing their opinion, especially with the business owners downtown. So I'm not sitting here trying to make you all look bad by any means. I'm sure you guys are fantastic people. But what I am asking for is a little bit more consideration towards the business owners in downtown Winchester, because my sole goal for Winchester is to build it up. Give it as like a beacon, for Kentucky, for people that want to come and visit and stuff like that. And also give Winchester some, families and stuff like that, a place to go to and have fun and to do stuff. So that's all I'm asking for, is a little bit more consideration and give us a little bit more of a voice, especially when it comes to economic decisions that you guys are making for us.
First of all, we appreciate your comments. It's nice to know that the business is there. I drive downtown almost every night to kind of see what's going on, and it is always busy.
Yes, ma'am.
In there, and I see people sitting at tables and all over. I mean, the whole building's full.
Yes, ma'am.
And so we're proud of that. I will say that Whitney and city manager have made numerous trips to businesses downtown during this. I was in, I think, 3 yesterday, stopping in just to say, how's it going? You have any issues? What's going on? Got stopped by somebody about a pothole. Got stopped by somebody else wanting to start a business when the RCC goes out, recovery center. And I apologize on behalf of all of us if we have not made you feel welcome or anything. We will correct that. And just bear with us during this process. I mean, none of us are happy about the way Main Street looks, but in a few weeks, you'll be glad that we waited and held it together. It's hard to know how to take a sidewalk out without taking the sidewalk out.
Right.
So, and several of our businesses through the years have not had entrances in the back of the building. I had a lady stop me today talking about signage, that it would be helpful if we could come up with signage to put on the back of the building. So when people are driving through that alleyway, they'll know what business that sign goes with, and if they have an entry or don't have an entry. So we're trying to correct as much as we can. Whitney's been working hard on signage. And just please, I ask you to bear with us through the project. We're looking at sometime in November to be totally completed with the project and up and running again. And I can guarantee I'll ask each of these folks to be sure you stop in and visit you and let you tell us exactly what you do, because I would like to know more about it. So
Yes,
I've driven by there at 11 o'clock at night and the place full. Now, I haven't been in your place yet because I'm an old man. What? Okay.
right. Understandable.
I've been up above you
Yes.
3 times in the last month,
Right.
but I will make sure next time I come to Jimmy's place up there, I drop in to see you. Though one time you were closed about noon too.
He's mostly evening hours, right?
He's
Weekend and
Yeah,
evening.
definitely.
Yeah.
I came to your business with the chamber event one time. We had a chamber thing. There were a bunch of us, down there one morning. It's probably been last year, maybe, with Cindy Banks.
I'm not sure because we haven't been a part of the chamber.
But we were there, trust me. We were
Okay.
there because that was my first time being in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But
we
do a lot
also-
of gaming and stuff, don't you?
Yes, but we also do a lot of charitable events as well.
Yeah.
We run a charity every single Christmas that unfortunately not a lot of people know about, but it's for the community of Winchester. They can get free presents and stuff like that for their kids if they can't afford them and stuff.
I'm with the Salvation Army. We'll
Okay,
work together on that this year.
okay, sounds
I'll
good.
tell you something else, we have a mayor's e-line,
Mhm.
so if you ever do a flyer and want it to go out about any of your events, Miss Lane's sitting right here on the front row. Just send it to her right here in the office and it'll go out to over 500 on that list right there on that list, sir.
Okay, awesome.
So, it cost you a penny to do that.
Sounds great.
And also, we've been working very hard on parking. Whitney's gotten maps out to show where extra parking is through this whole construction. Have you seen those online?
I have.
Okay.
Unfortunately, with our customer base, you know, they like convenience, so that's already a hindrance in itself, but I'm not gonna go there tonight, so.
But if they're gonna go to the mall in Lexington, they're gonna walk a block or 3 blocks or whatever.
Right.
So I think sometimes people get spoiled about wanting to pull up right in front of where they are. And so a short little walk, we have parking on Broadway, don't we, Whitney? Right there around the corner, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
But I do want to say again, we're glad you're part of our community and we'll make a better effort to come and see you.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay?
And I wish you kept better company. Talking about you. Oh, yeah. Well, you see, see, he's already got you fooled.
Okay, let's see, I do not have anything for closed session, Mr. Dykeman,
No.
Mr. Manley?
No, ma'am.
Dr. Manley? Anyone else, anything for closed session? We still need to do comments from all of us and then we'll take a motion. I'll let you make the motion. Just hang on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Chanel,
No, ma'am, I'm good.
Commissioner Strode.
I would just again like to ask the public to be very patient and persevere through this construction. I think it's going to be well worth it in the end, and the Allen Company has hit the ground running. They are really working very, very, very hard here early. But don't forget to visit your businesses. Joelle and I were talking about that today at a board meeting downtown at the tourism office, and we found parking in the back, you know, so there are, and all the meetings that go on there are still going to be there. The chamber board meeting is going to be there, and I'll be at the beer cheese meeting is going to be there. So we all are still utilizing downtown. So just hang tight with us.
Thank you, Commissioner Strode. I have nothing to say. Commissioner Fox?
I just want to mention Mr. Von Drake, who passed away. He was the oldest, he wasn't the last survivor of Pearl Harbor, but he was the oldest surviving oldest survivor of Pearl Harbor. He was a Winchester native, going to be buried Thursday, I think, at the Winchester Cemetery. And Ben, do you remember when he used to come to my class out at school?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a fascinating man who could sit and tell stories for hours upon hours, and the kids would just be fascinated by it. So, yes, the oldest survivor of Pearl Harbor, and what those guys went through, none of us can even imagine.
Commissioner George?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
Seeing nothing further.
did Bruce or?
Oh, oh.
I just wanted to point out and say kudos to the team, Whiteley and all the fire department and the team for going to Frankfurt and
Yes,
helping. during-
Oh, yeah.
yes, right.
So
Yeah.
really appreciate that. Saving lives down in Frankfurt.
I think they all left. They had a call.
Yeah, they all- so, you know, it's just great that we're able to help offer those
They were rescued.
services in time of need. And our men and women are very trained to do that. And, you know, we're thankful to be able to help during that time.
We are so lucky in this community to have the first responders that we do.
We do.
I'm thankful every day, every day. Okay, Commissioner Cox, it's all yours.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chanel. Any discussion about the standalone one? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by like sign, motion, we are adjourned.
Hey, Craig, sorry, do you want to go with that?